Russ Mitchell. I hope you're having a great week. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Kicking tires and lighting fires. So 37 postseason wins. Does that include Monday?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was 36 going into then. I mean, it's a record in college football. It's
Good. Well, I just want to make sure we're up to date.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, we've updated the All-Americans. We're hoping we say 17 Tuesday, but you never know. I mean, but Russ, listen, I know we're going to have some fun with this, and you're always a great sport, and we got calls that have been waiting like 30 minutes on hold, but but see, the thing is, Russ, and Russ Mitchell came on last week, and he picked Clemson to beat Alabama, and he justified it. Big, 2 touchdowns, I think it was. But see, Russ, we had a lot of people pick Clemson. Matter of fact, we only had one analyst that picked Alabama. But see, the thing is, Russ, is you're kind of like part of the Bama Nation.
Yeah.
And the brother kind of slapped us last week, like, pow! And so nobody said, hey, let me get that other guy on. They wanted to talk to Russ Mitchell, man.
Yeah, of course. Look, man, I got to tell you, that was maybe the most impressive game I've seen Alabama play all year, outside of the first game of the year. But look, the first game, we talked about this heading into the Florida State game. Florida State's offensive line was terrible. And it was terrible all year long. So we expected Alabama's defense to jump all over, and I mean, it was terrible having the Francois, but we expected them to dominate that weak Florida State offensive line. There's nobody, except for people wearing crimson on Monday, that expected that front seven from Alabama to embarrass Clemson's offensive line the way they did. Nobody.
It was maybe only inside that locker room. Russ, you could tell, and this is the brilliance of Nick Saban, he had those guys believing they were the underdogs, even though they were not the underdogs.
Well, I'll tell you something else, too. I don't even think – I'll be willing to bet after the season, if you're a friend, you'd have to be a personal friend of one of those Alabama players. If you were able to pull him aside, I don't think even they thought Clemson's offense, that offensive line was going to play as poorly as they did. And you heard Dabo after the game say what was his exact quote? Something about, I was so disappointed with how we played. I mean, their offensive line, and first of all, Alabama, when they're playing their A game, has a way of making a lot of good teams look silly. But, they just, forget the 14 points, just thoroughly dominated a Clemson team, held them way under their average yards per game. Thoroughly, just absolutely undressed them.
So you go back and you kind of wonder after watching Monday night, it's like, where's this Alabama team been? And,
I've listened to people say, oh, well, they were injured. Look, everybody is injured when November comes around. You haven't played football every team you face, Mississippi State was injured, LSU was injured, Auburn was injured, everybody was injured, right? So it's not like you're the only team on the face of the earth. And yet you looked bad in November. Look, you look like a completely different team. And I want to give the coaching staff all the credit in the world they deserve, because not only did they have a great game plan, offensively and defensively, we haven't even talked about the offense yet, but they got those kids really jacked up to play that game, man. They were ready, and keep in mind, the one thing that I'm a little worried about is if you look at how Alabama has played their semifinal games and how they play their playoff, the final game. You give Nick Saban 4 or 5 weeks to prepare, whether it's a season opener or whether it's a bowl game. Boy, he makes you look silly. But now you don't have 4 to 5 weeks; you only have one. So, we'll spend a little time talking about Georgia too.
No, there's no doubt. And Russ, if you look at Alabama, what's the one thing that you think they need to improve upon going into this Georgia game?
Well, the defensive front seven would be the very first thing you would say. I thought heading into this game offensively that Jalen was going to have to throw the ball, that he was going to have to be effective throwing the ball more than 5 yards down the field, which is not, if you look at where he's been most efficient, it's in short passing, which would stand to reason. Most people would be more efficient in short yardage, but, his percentages drop off dramatically when you get past 6 yards down away from the line of scrimmage. But it didn't matter because you just ran the ball down their throats like Sherman through Atlanta, man. I mean, that was such an impressive thing to watch. And as a guy who's, I love all my children the same, but all my children are in the South, to watch Alabama do that to Clemson, that was, when I say the South, I'm talking about the SEC. That was a pleasure to watch because it was just an ass whipping. You ran the ball down their throats like you owned them. And considering that all four of those defenses, that front seven, the entire front seven for Clemson might be playing in the NFL. Certainly the front four, which just makes that performance even more impressive.
Russ, when we get into the conversation and we begin to look at these dogs, let's stop before we get to Alabama and Georgia, and let's just spend a couple of minutes just talking about Kirby Smart. Has he surprised you with how quick he's had success?
Well, first of all, Mark Richt had always recruited well. Okay, Mark Richt, I pointed out that in the last 7 years that Mark Richt was first of all, the short answer to your question is yes, he has surprised me. But let's begin, first of all, with the fact that it's not like the cupboards were bare. Rick just couldn't win. And folks are like, oh, he won 10 games. Yeah, it's like LSU won 9. LSU only beat 2 teams this year with a winning record, and one of them fired their coach, A&M, right? And Mark Richt would win games, but when it came to winning the important games, he would lose. In his last 7 years at Georgia, he was like 6. What was it? We talked about this many times. It was like 6-19 or 6-20 against SEC teams that just were over 500, right? But his recruiting classes were always top 10. Over that 7-year window, he only had one recruiting class that wasn't top 10, and it was 12. So it's not like the cupboard's bare for Kirby. The difference is Kirby's winning those games, right? And it's coaching on the field and coaching before the game. That coaching performance at the halftime, and you talk to a lot of the guys that were there in that locker room, there was no panic whatsoever. There was no yelling or screaming. Everybody said, especially the defensive coaches, what was the score, 31-17 at the half? He sat those kids down, told them what they were doing wrong, explained how they needed to change, and they all came out and did exactly what he told them to do, and they held that offense to 7 points in the second half.
Yes,
and that's your ball.
Really impressive from that side of things. But do you see the style of game much different Monday night as far as just points scored? And, they're not going to run over Alabama like they did Oklahoma.
Nope. And, I think that this is going to be such a great game, man. How many segments are we doing? Are we doing 1 or 2?
No, we're going to have to do 2. We're going to break, and then we're going to come back to take calls.
There's so much that I want to talk about this game because this is going to be a totally different. First of all, playing Clemson in Oklahoma is like playing the kid, 2 neighborhoods away from where you live. Maybe Clemson for Alabama is 1 neighborhood away from where you live because you played them for 2 straight years. Playing Georgia is like playing the kid across the street. You know what I mean? Playing Georgia, everybody knows each other, especially in this case because it's Kirby. You can't. It's like playing poker against your brother. Never ever play poker against your brother because he knows every bluff you've ever tried in your life. There's not going to be a lot tricky about this game. There's no Les Miles, eating grass and, doing fake this and fake field goals. This is basically going to be 2 coaching staffs that with 2 young quarterbacks, with 3 NFL running backs, and 2 amazing defenses. And it's going to be basically like Alabama 1 and Alabama 2 playing against each other.
So at the end of the day, when you look at the Georgia Bulldogs and you look at maybe their defense, is there an area that you think is weakness that Alabama can have success on?
Yes. Wait, define the question again. the weakness, does it have to be a Georgia defensive weakness, or can it be a Georgia offensive weakness?
Well, I guess you could do either. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been so impressed with Jake Fromm. I really have. I've been doing this for 3 decades, right? Over 30 years. And there are a few maxims that always hold true. One of them, until we changed how we put the ball back into play, was time of possession. Time of possession was always, it isn't anymore. But the one that's always stood true is redshirt freshman quarterbacks will eventually make mistakes. Freshman quarterbacks will eventually make mistakes. That's slowly starting to change. You saw that with Jalen Hurts last year, and this year, Fromm. So impressed with this kid. In that last drive going down the field, down by 7, he's throwing the ball on 3rd and 10 across the middle of the field. He's a freshman. I don't care that it's the end of the year. He's still just a kid. In that kind of environment, so impressed. Nick Saban is going to eat that kid for lunch.
Wow.
Listen, if there's one thing a Nick Saban defense can do, you saw what they did to Kelly Bryant, and he wasn't even a freshman. Maybe same lack of experience, but Nick Saban's is going to throw so many different schemes at this kid. Defensive players will be coming out of nowhere, and they're going to play through the whistle. And you saw Alabama do that. You saw this defense play aggressive, angry, through the whistle, really lit up Bryant. And I expect to see the exact same thing, maybe with not 4 weeks or 5 weeks to prepare. But I expect to see Fromm more frazzled than he has been in any game this year.
Yeah, and when you think about the other side of this coin, and then we'll go to break and we'll come back, we'll take phone calls. But the thing that you go back to, Kirby Smart and Nick Saban during their time here in Tuscaloosa, they always struggled with a mobile, up-tempo quarterback. It's exactly what Alabama's going to present Kirby Smart on Monday night.
Yeah. And then, there are some other things. We always look for trends, because trends, just like the guys in Vegas, you're always looking for trends. And a lot of folks try to poo-poo this, but, Nick's 11-0 against coaches that were in his tree, and he's won all those games by 14 points or more. And I don't think that latter point will hold here. This is the end of the year. It's not like he's playing a coach who was in his tree, who has taken over a bad team. This is Georgia. It's the end of the year. They're battle tested. They just beat Oklahoma, on the road, down in LA. This is a very, very good team. I don't see Alabama running away with it. But 11-0, it says something. It's hard to beat your boss. And, even when you move on to another job, it's hard to beat your older brother. And in these relationships, Nick Saban is the boss.
Russ Mitchell, College Football News. When we come back, we're going to take some phone calls. Russ is going to be eating some crow. We're going to give him some Dreamland sauce to dip in it. We've got callers that are waiting. Dreamland's the best, man. 1958, ain't nothing like them nowhere. You can dip the crow in there, and it'll taste just fine. A little fried crow. 205-342-9904. We have one line available if you want to jump on with Russ Mitchell as we move forward. Now, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Russ picked Alabama to lose to Clemson. We're going to serve him a little crow, but you got to keep it between nice way, okay? Don't go PG-13 on me. If you go, I'm gonna hit this red button.
It would have been worse on Tuesday, but it's almost the end of the week.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, man. If I could have found you Monday night and put you on this phone, Russ. But see, I'm telling you why. Barrett Salih picked him to lose. But, man, they call Barrett a Barner. They call him Barner Barrett. Okay? So,
well, first of all, you need to call Barrett Sally. Don't call him Salih. Salih might be his real name, but we call him Barrett Sally.
Sally?
You work him up that way.
No. All right, 205-342-9904. Hey, Marquise, is he locked in? Ready to go? All right, here we go. Red, good afternoon. You're on with Russ Mitchell.
Well, that old pipe-smoking dang Yankee Russ Mitchell eating crow again.
Now, first of all, you better be damn careful calling me a Yankee.
Hey, you north of Tuscaloosa, ain't you, brother?
No, but there's a lot of South that ain't Tuscaloosa. So we'll skip the Yankee talk, and you're the one with the carpetbagging coach. So, he's done really well for you.
Hey, you hush up and listen to eat your crow, boy. You're so wrong when it comes to picking against Alabama. They'll put a street sign in your town and name it Wrong Way Russ. Hey, listen. The only time your boys were in the end zone is when the Alabama players were holding the football, boy. You gonna dispute it?
Hey, I'll tell you this. Before if you're an Alabama fan, before you get too excited, all right, and every point counts. But if not for those two defensive touchdowns, the final score is 10-6. Now, I will say this. I will say, Nick, and, one of the things I love about Nick, and everybody says, the offense isn't very exciting, or the offense this, or the offense that. If you're winning, then you don't have to take chances with your offense. It doesn't matter. And that's what we saw in that game. I mean, Nick realized his defense had taken control in the second half. And once that happens, there's no reason. You don't have to take any chances. Just run the ball and, walk out of town.
Well, you should have had enough sense to realize not to pick against Alabama if you think you know so much.
Hey, I didn't hear you calling me after I picked Auburn to beat Alabama.
Hey, look, that's because you won't take calls. Because the last time you got on Ryan show, I ate your lunch and you would not take calls again, boy. Hey, do you remember that?
Oh,
well, as heck, dude.
Oh, Lord. I got to go.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. Would you please leave us Bama fans alone and go join the Cal College Network? It's bad enough dealing with Barrett Salute. Kind of like y'all might be roommates or something.
He picked Alabama to beat Georgia, Red.
Yeah, he's just trying to be nice, man, because he knows he got so embarrassed against the Clemson game.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Red.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I can be a nice guy. I invite you to come to Tuscaloosa. I'll take you fishing way up the Warrior River.
You know what? I'd love to go fishing in Alabama. It's been a long time, man. I need to come back.
Ryan knows how to get a hold of him. I'll take you fishing way up the Warrior River.
Okay, thanks, Red.
Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide.
205-342-9904. Johnny, good afternoon. You're on with Russ Mitchell.
I don't know if I'm going to compete with that. Russ, you know me and you've had a couple of headliners on Twitter, so I've been looking forward to this little opportunity right here. Are you one of them that just drinks half a year? Are you just a half a year drinker? Because see, the first part of the year, you done pretty good. Then toward the end of the part of the year, it's like you, Danny Cannell, and Barry Sally got together.
Now, Johnny, it's not fair to put Russ with Danny Cannell. Come on, man, that's not.
Oh my God! Did you just put me with Danny Cannell? Come on, man!
Just like Red said,
come on, man!
Take it like a man. Take it like a man, Russ.
No, you can't do that. Don't you do that at all.
Johnny,
we had to take it the other day.
Dude, so I'd even let someone call me a Yankee before I'd let someone put me in the same boat with Danny. And
the bad part about staff an Alabama fan is we put you in a whole different category when you do it. Fame don't matter. Yeah. You got to remember that, Russ.
Listen, baby, I am not.
but Johnny, let me say this, okay? Russ goes on radio shows all across the country. I hear him on ESPN radio at night with Freddie Coleman, Fox Sports, CBS. I mean, he does tons. He advocates for the SEC. He's not a hater of the SEC. I promise you. You, Johnny.
I don't care if he's a hater of the SEC or not. He's a hater of Alabama last Monday.
And he's paying the price.
Our world.
Okay.
I don't care about Auburn, Florida. We talk about Bama. This is
you have one child. I have 14 children. Yeah, I even have 2 stepchildren, Texas A&M and Missouri. And I love them all. I love them all the same.
And I just had a great grandbaby yesterday, Russ Mitchell. A great
Danny
grandbaby.
Cannell, man. Did you just call me
I went
Danny
there.
Cannell?
Yeah, I went there.
Wow.
I've been wanting to do that for a long time. But, Brian, do me a favor. Get him to pick Georgia. Get him to pick Georgia because I love his pick when he does that because it's a guaranteed win. And, Russ, remember this. The fire's out because Nick just peed all over. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Let's go a couple of more here. 205-342-9990.
Danny Cannell.
Yeah, you're not Danny Cannell, Russ.
I'm not even close to Danny Cannell.
Well,
I take the SEC. And I was loving. Well, actually, we won't go there.
But you you got much better style than Danny Cannell. Let's go.
Thank you, brother.
Let's go. Biscuit Bruce. Biscuit Bruce, you're on with Russ Mitchell.
Always great to be on 102.9, 100.9 The Game with multi-sport talk show host Ryan Fowler and kicking the tires and lighting the fire. You know, Russ, you got to learn one thing in your line of work. Don't ever pick against Alabama. Because if you do, look at their record, you're going to be wrong more than you're going to be right. That's the part I don't understand. And like, I would never put you in the same category with Danny Cannell.
Thank you.
And the other thing is, brother, let me give you one piece of advice. Don't go fishing with Red up the Warrior River because you won't come back, dude.
Well, I was going to go heavily armed, man. I mean, I wasn't going to go without some protection.
If you want to go fishing, I am fortunate enough to have a private lake where if you want to go fishing in Alabama, you can catch fish. But,
hey,
you know, it's all in fun, and we all like to have fun. And, you know, everybody just.
Hey, listen to this. You guys are going to laugh like crazy at this. And if this place burns down, then I'm going to hang in here as long as I can. We actually have a fire alarm going off right now in this building. I kid you not. I kid you not. I kid you not. Hey, listen, if I have to go, I'm you know that I'm going out the window, okay?
The man's lighting the fire.
Literally, the fire alarm is going off right now. I'm going to take a picture of this. People don't believe this. I am on with Russ Mitchell and Biscuit Bruce, and the fire alarm is going off right now.
Hey, if you have to run, just leave the line open, and Biscuit and I will take it for a little while.
Okay, good.
Tell them about it, Russ. Hey,
so,
Ryan,
Biscuit, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about this Georgia game, Dave? You worried about this Georgia game?
Well, when to be honest with you, when you have two running backs and actually three running backs named Chubb, Sony Michel, and Swift, you have to be a little bit concerned. But I think they're a little bit too one-dimensional in that, and you know, I can remember everybody telling us what Leonard Fournette was going to do to our defense, and in the times that he ran against Alabama, 31 yards, 32 yards, something along that nature. Darius Geis, you know, we shut the best running backs in the Southeastern Conference down, and even though this is a tandem deal, I think it'll be a close and a lot closer game than 45-10 like Red picked. I didn't get to hear your opinion on the game a while ago, and I wish I would have. I was doing something at work. But what is your score, Russ?
You know, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I saw that the over-under was 45, and that kind of stunned me. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It wouldn't surprise me if the outcome is fairly similar to what we saw in the Clemson game. I expect both teams to be really jacked up. I don't think that the Georgia team, I've heard some folks say that Georgia will be, you know, it's a championship game. So they were, I think that the one advantage of the semifinals that we have is you get a lot of nerves out of the way in the semifinal game, and you're playing 7 days later. You know, it's not like you're going to have that many more nerves playing in a championship game 7 days later than you had for the semis.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, every kid on this Alabama team is pretty much this is their third year playing in the championship game. They're going to be calmer. I really wish Anthony was playing because I think you're going to miss his speed in the backfield. He led the team in tackles for loss. had the sack. I think he's going to be difficult to replace, especially on a team that's thin in the front seven. I also think that Georgia will do a better job of halftime adjustments, in part because I don't think Alabama will have to make as many halftime adjustments. But I expect Alabama's defense. Look, at the end of the day, it'll come down to turnovers when teams are evenly matched like this. And Alabama's got the better turnover margin this year, right? They're top 5, Georgia's top 40. And I think that'll be the difference. The freshmen will make some mistakes, and Alabama will win it by 10.
Well, you're picking pretty close to what and I didn't get to call, Ryan, so I get to do my score prediction.
Yeah. Give it to me, and I'm going to let you go because I'm going to move to one more call, and then we're going to be done. Now, Biscuit Bruce, throw it out one more time.
I'm going 24-10.
Okay.
350 yards rushing.
I've got it. Thank you, Biscuit Bruce.
Hey, Russ, it was nice. I mean, I've wanted for a long time, as Ryan will tell you, to drill you to the wall and hang you up, but it is nice to talk to you, and we always enjoy you on this program, and Ryan does a great job. But look, if you don't ever remember anything in your life, Russ, you remember this one thing. We are the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
See, I don't know if you noticed, okay? JK, we always end every call with Roll Tide here.
Yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. And we generally start every call with how are you doing?
Really?
Yeah, it's I answer about 60 times a day. I say, man, I'm doing great.
If I were any better, I'd be 2 people.
Yeah, no doubt. And we end it with Roll Tide. Let's go one more call right here, then we're going to let you go, Russ. JK, good afternoon. You're on with Russ Mitchell.
What's happening?
Not much, JK. I know you're basking in the glory of your big Clemson victory.
Yeah, but we've still got business to take care of. That's just a stepping stone on the way to the final goal there, Russ. Russ, let me ask you this. With Alabama's linebacking core is a little bit injured again, Georgia's inexperienced young backfield, what adjustments do you think these offensive coordinators are going to have to make to put some points on the board?
Well, again, I think you look at losing Anthony, that's a big deal. He led the team in tackle. He's very aggressive in the backfield, and to win this game, I think you've got to put a lot of pressure into the Georgia backfield. You've got to because I have faith in Alabama's defense being. I know you're talking about Chubb, the second leading rusher in the history of the SEC. I know you're talking about Michael with the speed. You're talking about 3 very good running backs with a lot of experience on that team. But I have faith in Alabama's full defense to be in a neutral field to be able to play and corral those 3 running backs. What needs to happen is you need to put a hat on Fromm, right? You need to play, as we like to say, you need to play through the whistle, and nobody plays through the whistle better than Nick. So, I'm sure Kirby will make sure that Fromm knows that and tell him to, get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. But he's still a freshman, and he's still going to make mistakes. And you look at this Alabama team, how many interceptions, Ryan, on the year? 2?
Who, you talking about Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
Just one. Just one. Yeah, it's just one.
Yeah. So, I think that you've got to put pressure. So the real question is, do you think this Alabama defense, coming off of last week, losing a key player in the linebacking core that puts pressure into the backfield, do you think they'll be able to put enough pressure on Jake Fromm?
I think they will. I certainly think they will. I think the game plan is not going to be based around one position or especially one position in the linebacking core. So I think it's going to be based more off stunts and blitzes, and with the safeties maybe coming up, and Micah Fitzpatrick, he's always the wild card there.
That's your game because if you've watched Georgia's defense play at all this year, you've seen they're big and physical, fast. They're going to be a difficult team to run the ball up against, In fact, I think that this is the way Clemson fell apart last week. I don't think Georgia's going to be that way, and I think they'll make a good halftime adjustment. I think that to win this game, it's going to come down to stopping their offense, not your offense against their defense. That's the key to this game. you can hold them and make their offense impotent and unable to put points on the board like you did to Clemson, that's the avenue to win this game. So it boils down to, can you put pressure on the quarterback? Can you disrupt his play? And I think Alabama will. I think that you'll get at least one, maybe two touchdowns from your defense again this week. And that'll be the difference in what will be a low-scoring game.
JK, I got to run, but I'll let you have the final thing with Russ.
Hey, just thank you for the time, Russ. You picked the right team this week, and hope to see you in Atlanta.
Well, I won't be going to Atlanta this year because I'm recovering from some ankle surgery that I couldn't get away from. This will be the first championship game I've missed in 15, 18 years. So, but I expect that I'll make up for my poor pick last week. And by the way, isn't it great to have two SEC teams playing in Atlanta for the national championship? Every time I go, I'll be on it with Freddie tonight on ESPN, and I'm going to pull the SEC card so hard it'll be fun.
Absolutely. And tell them, listen, us Alabama fans, we're not too bad. I mean, that wasn't too rough on you, was it, Russ? You
can go rough, baby. I can handle myself. But that was a very genteel, easy, sophisticated
there was
Alabama fan base right there.
Well, there was a lot of those, king behind the keyboard type things, but they didn't want to call too much out. But hey, I'll leave you with this, Russ. You can say this to Freddie Coleman today in the locker room on the campus of the University of Alabama. The Scott Cochran, the head strength and conditioning coach at Alabama, took the trophy that they got in New Orleans and busted it inside the locker room in front of the players. And said,
yeah, as you well should. All this ceremony, all this nonsense about, standing up on a podium just to make the private promoters of these bowls happy. It's a joke. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's, winning the conference matters and winning the national championship matters.
Yeah.
And by the way, one last thing, just because I'm on a roll right now. Boy, I was really proud of Alabama. I love all my children the same. I love them all the same, even the two-step children. Love them all. But I got to tell you, really proud of how Alabama played. That was a difficult matchup for them, and yet they came out and embarrassed Clemson and dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage, which was the ball game. And if you're an SEC fan, that made you really proud. So good on you, Bama. Roll Tide, and it should be a fun time down in hot Atlanta.
Hey, Russ, thanks for being a great sport, man. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all take care.
Russ Mitchell,
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.